Welcome to our channel. Today we'll delve into Larry Fine, one of the most beloved members of the Three Stooges, bringing joy to millions with his comedic timing and affable personality. But behind the laughter, his life was filled with personal struggles, financial troubles, and heartbreaking tragedies. In his later years, his health took a devastating turn, leaving him unable to continue performing. So, how did Larry Fine go from a rising star in vaudeville to spending his final years in a wheelchair? Join us as we take a closer look at the life, career, and challenges of this comedy legend, Larry Fine's early life and career. Larry Fine, born Louis Feinberg on October 5, 1902, in Philadelphia, came from humble beginnings that gave no indication he would one day become a household name in comedy. His family was of Russian Jewish descent, and his parents operated a jewelry and watch repair shop. It was within the walls of this small business that young Larry's life would take an unexpected and nearly tragic turn, one that would shape his future in ways no one could have predicted. Like many children, Larry was naturally curious. He often spent time in his parents' shop, observing the delicate craft of jewelry making. But one day, a split-second mistake nearly cost him his life. In the workshop, Larry spotted a bottle filled with liquid, and mistaking it for a drink, reached for it. That liquid, however, was not water. It was a potent acid used to test the purity of gold. Just as he was about to drink it, his father intervened, knocking the bottle out of his hands. While this quick reaction saved Larry from severe internal injuries, some of the acid splashed onto his arm, causing significant burns. The damage was severe enough to weaken the muscles in his arm, and it became clear that he would need long-term rehabilitation to regain mobility. At the time, there were few medical treatments for such injuries, and his parents were desperate to find a way to strengthen his arm. Their solution? Violin lessons? They believed that the precise finger movements required to play the instrument would help Larry rebuild strength and coordination in his damaged arm. What started as a form of physical therapy quickly turned into a passion. Larry took to the violin naturally, and his love for the instrument grew with each passing day. He practiced diligently, developing an impressive level of skill. The violin wasn't just a tool for recovery anymore, it became his calling. By his teenage years, Larry had decided to pursue music professionally. He began performing in local venues, showcasing his growing talent. His dream was to become a concert violinist, and for a time, that seemed like his destined path. But fate had other plans. As Larry honed his musical abilities, he became drawn to the world of live entertainment. Vaudeville was at its peak, offering performers from all backgrounds the chance to captivate audiences with comedy, music, magic, and more. The stage, with its bright lights and roaring crowds, was irresistible. Soon, Larry's performances expanded beyond just playing the violin. He started incorporating humor into his act, blending music with comedy in a way that delighted audiences. His natural comedic timing and charismatic stage presence quickly caught the attention of vaudeville showrunners. By the 1920s, Larry had worked his way up in the industry, performing in increasingly popular theaters. His talent wasn't limited to music. He had a knack for engaging audiences, delivering quick-witted jokes, and embracing the kind of slapstick humor that would later define his career. One of the defining moments of Larry's early career came in the mid-1920s, when he landed a job as the master of ceremonies at the Rainbow Gardens in Chicago. It was a significant role that placed him at the center of the vaudeville scene, allowing him to network with some of the biggest names in the business. It was there that he met Shemp Howard and Ted Healy, two well-established performers in the vaudeville circuit. Healy, a well-known comedian and showman, was always on the lookout for talented performers who could enhance his comedy acts. Larry's combination of musical ability and comedic instincts made him a perfect fit. Though none of them knew it at the time, this meeting would set the stage for one of the most legendary comedy troupes in American history, the Three Stooges. Larry's journey from a violinist to a slapstick comedy legend was anything but conventional. If not for a childhood accident, he might have pursued a career in classical music. Instead, he found himself on a path that would eventually lead to worldwide fame as one of the Three Stooges. But before that could happen, he had to navigate the unpredictable world of show business, where talent was abundant, but success was never guaranteed. The Three Stooges and Larry's rise to fame. As the 1930s approached, the entertainment industry was undergoing a major transformation. Vaudeville, once the dominant form of live entertainment, was beginning to decline, giving way to the booming film industry. Hollywood was expanding rapidly, and talkies, films with synchronized sound, were taking over the silent era. For many vaudeville performers, this shift meant uncertainty, but for Larry Fine, it became the opportunity of a lifetime. Larry's first step into the film industry came in 1930 when he landed a small role as a fireman in Soup to Nuts, a comedy written by Rube Goldberg. This film was notable not only for being one of Larry's earliest on-screen appearances, but also for featuring Ted Healy and Shemp Howard, two major figures in his career. Though Larry's role was minor, it marked his official transition from the vaudeville stage to the silver screen. Over the next few years, he took on a handful of additional film roles, including an appearance in the short Nursery Rhymes and an uncredited role as a wedding singer in Turn Back the Clock. These roles, while small, helped Larry gain experience in front of the camera, an entirely different world from live performances. However, his breakthrough moment was just around the corner. In 1933, Larry reunited with Ted Healy and Shemp Howard to form what would become one of the most iconic comedy troupes in history, the Three Stooges. That same year, he starred as Larry in the short film Beer and Pretzels. This film was the first time audiences saw Ted Healy as the overbearing show manager, constantly frustrated by the antics of his three bumbling sidekicks. The chemistry between Healy and the Three Stooges was undeniable, and audiences loved the slapstick chaos. Beer and Pretzels was a hit, and it set the foundation for what was to come. The film proved that the Three Stooges had something special, a unique blend of physical comedy, fast-paced banter, and exaggerated facial expressions that resonated with audiences during the Great Depression. At a time when people were struggling financially and looking for escapism, the Three Stooges delivered pure, unfiltered laughter. Following the success of Beer and Pretzels, the Three Stooges quickly became one of the biggest names in comedy. Over the next 37 years, Larry Fine appeared in more than 200 short films, feature films, and television episodes, cementing his place in Hollywood history. His character, simply known as Larry, became a fan favorite. While the Three Stooges were often seen as a chaotic trio, each member had a distinct role. Mo Howard was the aggressive leader, always dishing out slaps and eye pokes to keep the group in line. Curly Howard, and later Shemp Joe Besser and Curly Joe Dorita, was the most eccentric and outlandish of the group, delivering over-the-top reactions and physical stunts. Larry, however, played a more balanced role. Larry was often considered the middle stooge, not just in positioning, but in personality. He was the bridge between Moe's strict, bossy demeanor and Curly's wild, unpredictable nature. He was the straight man of the group, but with a goofy charm that made him relatable. His comedic timing was impeccable, and he had a way of delivering lines that made even the simplest jokes land perfectly. One of Larry's defining traits was his distinct voice and mannerisms. His exaggerated facial expressions, wide-eyed reactions, and high-pitched delivery made him instantly recognizable. Audiences loved his affable, slightly clueless persona. Even when Moe was slapping or yelling at him, Larry's reactions made the interactions even funnier. Another interesting aspect of Larry's character was his occasional musical performances. Though primarily known for slapstick comedy, he never abandoned his roots as a musician. In several Three Stooges shorts, he played the violin, showcasing the skill that had once been his primary ambition. These moments added an extra layer to his character, reminding audiences that he was more than just a comedian. He was a true entertainer. While the lineup of the Three Stooges changed over time, with different actors rotating in and out as the third Stooge, Larry remained a constant presence. Moe and Larry were the foundation of the group, providing stability as other members came and went. Through the years, Larry and Moe developed an unshakable partnership, both on and off the screen. Though their on-screen dynamic often involved Moe bossing Larry around, the two shared a deep friendship behind the scenes. They had spent decades together in show business, navigating the ups and downs of Hollywood, and their bond was one of mutual respect and camaraderie. Larry Fine's journey from a young violinist in Philadelphia to a slapstick comedy icon was anything but ordinary. His ability to adapt from vaudeville to film, from music to comedy, was a testament to his versatility as a performer. His comedic instincts combined with his natural charm made him an indispensable part of the Three Stooges' success. For nearly 4 decades, he dedicated himself to making audiences laugh. And while he may not have achieved his original dream of becoming a professional violinist, he found something even greater: immortality through laughter. Larry Fine didn't just play a role in the Three Stooges, he helped define what made them legendary, and as history would prove, his comedic genius would stand the test of time. Film and television work beyond the Stooges. Although Larry was best known as part of the Three Stooges, he occasionally took on roles outside the troupe. He appeared as a piano player named Harry in Dancing Lady, a hit romantic comedy musical starring Clark Gable and Joan Crawford. Despite the presence of 2 of Hollywood's biggest stars, Larry and his fellow Stooges still managed to gain widespread attention. He also appeared in Mert and Marge, where the Three Stooges played characters known as Mullen's helpers. In 1934, they starred in Fugitive Lovers, portraying the 3 Julians. However, it was evident that Larry's most memorable role was always as Larry in the Three Stooges. Throughout the 1930s and beyond, he continued appearing in short films with the troupe, with occasional feature films such as Swing Parade of 1946 and Gold Raiders 1951. The Three Stooges also made guest appearances on popular TV shows like The Ed Wynn Show, The Eddie Cantor Comedy Show, and The Frank Sinatra Show. In the 1960s, the group had their own TV show, The New Three Stooges. Larry's final acting role was in the TV pilot Kooks Tour, which depicted the Three Stooges preparing for retirement. Unfortunately, this production coincided with the abrupt end of Larry's career due to health issues. Larry Fine's personal life and struggles. Larry's journey in entertainment not only shaped his career but also led him to the love of his life. In the early 1920s, while performing in vaudeville, he met Mabel Haney, a fellow performer with a vibrant personality and a shared love for the stage. The two quickly fell for each other, and in 1926 they tied the knot. Their love story was not a conventional one. Unlike many couples who sought stability and routine, Larry and Mabel embraced the unpredictable nature of show business. For years, they lived life on the road, moving from city to city as Larry performed in vaudeville, and later in films. They spent much of their early marriage residing in hotels, hopping between different locations as Larry's career grew. It wasn't until the 1940s, when the Three Stooges had firmly established themselves as Hollywood stars, that they finally settled into a permanent home in Los Angeles. Despite the chaotic nature of their lifestyle, Larry and Mabel were known for their strong bond. They were a couple who enjoyed the perks of Hollywood, but never let it change their down-to-earth nature. They loved to entertain guests, frequently hosting parties and gatherings filled with laughter, just as one would expect from a stooge. One of Larry's greatest personal struggles was his lifelong gambling addiction. He had a deep love for games of chance, frequently betting large sums on horse races and playing gin rummy with fellow actors and friends. For Larry, gambling wasn't just a pastime, it was a thrill, a rush of excitement that provided the same kind of adrenaline he experienced on stage. However, his love for gambling often led to financial trouble. Unlike some of his Hollywood peers who invested their earnings wisely, Larry was known for making impulsive bets, sometimes losing vast amounts of money in a single night. His financial recklessness nearly led him to bankruptcy multiple times. But what made Larry different from many gamblers was his generosity. He wasn't just willing to risk his own money, he was also known for lending money to fellow actors and friends, often without expecting repayment. If a struggling performer needed financial help, Larry was the first to offer assistance, never questioning whether he would see the money again. His kindness and generosity were well known in the entertainment community, but they also contributed to his financial instability. While Larry had faced financial struggles throughout his life, nothing could compare to the personal tragedies he endured in the 1960s. In 1961, his son John was killed in a car accident at just 24 years old. Losing a child is one of the most devastating experiences a parent can face. And for Larry, it was a wound that never fully healed. John's death cast a shadow over Larry's life. Though he continued to perform with the Three Stooges, those close to him noticed a change. His signature humor and energy remained on screen, but in private, he carried a deep sadness that he rarely spoke about. Then, just 6, the woman who had been his anchor, his source of stability, was gone. Larry, who had always been surrounded by laughter and companionship, now found himself alone. While he continued to receive love from his fans and friends, nothing could fill the void left by the two people he had loved most. Larry Fine's personal life was a testament to the reality that even the funniest people can carry the heaviest burdens. Though he spent decades making audiences laugh, his own life was filled with struggles that would have broken many others. From financial troubles to the heartbreaking losses of his son and wife, Larry faced challenges that tested his resilience. Yet through it all, he never lost his warmth. Even in his darkest moments, he continued to be a man who brought joy to those around him. His generosity, his humor, and his love for entertainment remained constants in his life, even when everything else seemed to fall apart. Health decline and final years. Larry Fine's later years were marked by both physical decline and an unbreakable spirit. After decades of making audiences laugh with the Three Stooges, he faced one of life's cruelest twists, watching his health deteriorate while being unable to continue the work he loved. The turning point came in 1970 when he suffered a massive stroke while working on what was supposed to be the Three Stooges retirement project, Kook's Tour. The stroke paralyzed the entire left side of his body, instantly ending his performing career. It was a devastating blow for Larry, who had dedicated his entire life to entertaining others. The Stooges had spent decades creating slapstick comedy built around fast-paced physical gags, which required agility and energy. To suddenly lose control of part of his body must have been emotionally crushing. Yet, true to his nature, Larry did not let the tragedy completely take away his humor. Though he could no longer perform, he remained a storyteller at heart, finding ways to entertain even as his condition worsened. With his career at an abrupt end, Larry moved into the Motion Picture Country House, a retirement community in California specifically for industry professionals. It was a place where many former Hollywood stars, now forgotten by the industry, lived out their final years. While it provided comfort and care, it was also a stark contrast to the vibrant life Larry once led, one filled with the excitement of film sets, live audiences, and the camaraderie of his fellow Stooges. As the years went on, Larry's condition worsened. The paralysis that initially affected only his left side slowly spread, making it even more difficult for him to move. By the last 5 years of his life, he was confined to a wheelchair, unable to walk on his own. It was a cruel fate for someone who had spent his career in such a physically demanding art form. But despite his failing health, Larry remained as cheerful as ever. He became a beloved figure at the retirement home, bringing joy to fellow residents just as he had done for audiences worldwide. He often cracked jokes and reminisced about his years with the Three Stooges, proving that even in the face of adversity, he never lost his comedic touch. Visitors, including longtime fans, would stop by to see him, and he always greeted them warmly, delighted that people still remembered the Three Stooges and their work. During this time, Larry also worked with writer James Carone to document his life story in an autobiography titled Stroke of Luck. The title itself was a testament to Larry's enduring humor, as he turned his misfortune into a witty play on words. Through this book, he was able to reflect on his career, his successes, and even his struggles, ensuring that his story would be preserved for future generations. As the early 1970s progressed, Larry Fine's health continued to deteriorate. The effects of his initial stroke in 1970 had already left him partially paralyzed, but fate was not done testing him. Over the next few years, he suffered multiple additional strokes, each one robbing him of more strength, more mobility, and eventually his ability to live independently. His body was failing him, but his spirit, the same spirit that had brought joy to millions, refused to give in. Even as his condition worsened, Larry remained as lively as he could, greeting visitors with his signature humor and charm. Fans who visited the Motion Picture Country House, the retirement home where he spent his final years, often spoke of how he still cracked jokes, reminisced about the Three Stooges, and expressed gratitude for the career he had enjoyed. He had given the world a lifetime of laughter, and even in his weakest moments, he still had that same comedic spark. However, by early 1975, his body could no longer endure the toll of his repeated strokes. On January 24, 1975, Larry Fine passed away at the age of 72. News of his death spread quickly, and it marked the end of an era. One of Hollywood's last true slapstick comedians was gone. Larry's passing was met with an outpouring of grief and remembrance from fans, fellow entertainers, and media outlets. Newspapers across the country ran obituaries, honoring his contributions to comedy. Headlines referred to him as the lovable Stooge and comedy's unsung hero, reflecting the deep affection audiences had for him. Television stations aired the Three Stooges marathons in tribute, reminding the world of the joy Larry and his co-stars had brought for decades. Fans who had grown up watching him on screen shared memories of their favorite Stooges moments, and younger generations, introduced to the trio through reruns, were just beginning to discover his genius. Hollywood insiders and comedians also paid their respects. Fellow actors who had worked with Larry, recalled his generosity, his light-hearted nature, and his unwavering dedication to his craft. Comedy legends who followed in his footsteps credited the Three Stooges as a foundational influence on their own work. Mo Howard, the last surviving original Stooge, was deeply affected by Larry's passing. The two had worked side by side for decades, sharing a friendship that had endured through success, hardship, and personal loss. Mo, who was also struggling with health issues at the time, spoke fondly of Larry, calling him a true friend and one of the kindest men I've ever known. Fans sent letters, flowers, and tributes to his family, expressing their appreciation for the years of laughter he had given them. Many who had met him in person recalled how approachable and kind he had been, always willing to take a photo, share a story, or crack a joke, even in his later years when his health was failing. Larry Fine's life was a testament to resilience, humor, and dedication to his craft. Despite the hardships he faced, from financial struggles to heartbreaking personal losses, he never lost his ability to make people laugh. Even in his final years, confined to a wheelchair, he continued to bring joy to those around him. Though he passed away in 1975, his legacy as one of the greatest comedic performers of all time lives on. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Larry Fine's legacy is still appreciated today, or does it need to be reintroduced to a new generation? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.